Death's Game is about a man who was facing, hardships after hardships, failures after failures, and then he decided to commit suicide, and Death was not happy with his decision. So Death wants him to experience 12 other deaths in hopes that he may survive in one of them. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review on the Review Garden. I think that this is a very interesting take for a K drama series. This is more of a thriller. So, so you know, he. So first, it started with showing you, Death shooting him and him, saying, "What did I do to deserve this?" But they go back 7 years ago where all his trouble began, right? So right before he graduated from college, he went to an interview for a job. And what happened was he witnessed someone getting hit by a car, and the person like flew to where he was. And as the person was dying, um, the person was like holding on to him. So, like, the experience was traumatic. So, when it was time for his interview, he did not do well for his interview. And this just caused a whole lot of downward spiraling, right? So he had a girlfriend then. His girlfriend was happy that he was going on this interview. So after he bombed the interview, he had to take a bunch of part-time jobs to make ends meet and to pay all the student loans that he had that were piling up. So 7 years later, he finally, after applying, he got a second chance at the job that he was going to interview for, 7 years ago. And right before he got the announcement of whether he made it or not, his friend that he invested money with, it ended up being a scam. Then I couldn't really guess if he was with the girl or not, but it looked like the girl went on a date. Some guy dropped her home with some flowers. So when he went to her place, he was like, "I think it's time to let you go." Da, da, da. So he pretty much officially broke up with her. And, she was going to give him money to, I guess, pay his rent. And so then when he got home, he realized that all of his stuff was outside because he hasn't paid rent in a while. So the owner kicked him out, and all of his stuff was outside, his computer, everything. And then it started raining. So all of this made him decide that he did not want to live any longer. And then that's when he also got the alert that he did not pass his interview. And I think that was mostly it that was happening. So he lost all his money. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a girlfriend. But he never checked in with his mom. So when he decided to jump off a building, his mom was who he called. And when he left his note, he said something about Death. So Death took got offended by what he said, like it's a means to an end or something like that. And I'm like, and Death was like really mad. And I'm like, well, obviously he didn't mean it, really for you. He was just saying that, living was just too hard, that he would prefer dying. So I don't understand how your punishment or your game as Death is to be like, oh, you you decided to jump off a building, and then after that, what I'm gonna do to punish you is to kill you 12 more times, right? So he has to live the life of 12 people who are near, imminent death in order, and then one of them, if he manages to survive in one of them, he can go continue living their life. But I'm like, okay, but what happened to the soul that was in that life to begin with, right? Like, do you just tell the soul to go away and now he takes over that soul's body? I don't know. That part doesn't make sense to me. So we'll have to see towards the end of episode towards the end of episode 8 if he even makes it past the 12th life. Obviously, we know that he's not going to succeed until he gets to life number 12. Um and even then he may not even succeed at that point, right? But I think it was after the second, she was like, God is even mad at you with your decision. But that's because in the beginning of episode 2 and in the beginning of episode 3, they show you that they picked up 2 bodies off the floor. So he didn't only kill himself, he killed someone else. And I think that's where the main problem lies. Like, Death has a problem with the fact that he mocked her, and then God has a problem with the fact that, he killed someone else. And it seems like it was either a child or a mother, because there was like a toy baby on the floor. So we can say it was those two, one of those two. So for episode 1, there were 2 people that he took the body of. It was the new CEO of the company that he's been dying to be a part of, and then it was somebody who broke the Guinness World Record like 4 times. But I feel like the first 2 weren't fair, because the first one was on a plane that the engine blew off. So like, for him to try to survive that is right? And then the second one, it was the person who was trying to break the world record. He was skydiving from so far up without a parachute. And, there was a lot of sponsors, a lot of people watching it on TV, and obviously he didn't make it for the first 2. But death is like, you're gonna go through 12 deaths, but each time she sends him into a new body, she shoots him. So technically it's almost like you're killing him 24 times. 24 times, not 12 or 11 if he makes it in the last one. And then for episode 2, he for episode 2, in the beginning, he was he went back into a high schooler's body who's being bullied. And the high schooler decided that he was also going to jump off the building because he couldn't take it anymore. So the high schooler kind of reminded him of himself. No father, raised by a single mom, in poverty. And I don't know for sure if he got bullied at school, but this kid was getting bullied. So it was up to him to try to, change the situation. So he managed to, keep the kid from jumping off the building himself, but the kid ended up passing away because the bully, you know, hit him in the head with a rock. And I'm like, how is this person not straight in hell? Because first of all, this kid is a wimp. He can't even fight his own battles. Till the end, he had to resort to extreme violence. I mean, this is straight up, straight to jail, straight to prison type of thing. And hopefully there was like a camera watching the whole thing happen, because um it happened in the streets. So um so he didn't make it with number 3. And number 4, that was the end of episode 2, and then it starts episode 3. So right now I'm about to watch episode 3. But the thing is, with him, he kind of gets cocky when he feels like he makes it, past step number 1. So with life number 3, or journey, we'll say journey number 4, he's like this, not a hitman, but like a cleaner. So he knows how to fight. He knows how to, do certain things. And what happened is, he he stole from his boss, but his boss caught him. So they were like questioning him. He stole money, and he stole money, and then I'm not gonna say he stole the girl, but I think the girl was the boss's girlfriend, maybe. So he hid her away somewhere. So they were trying to find out where her identity, where she was. But he finished fighting the people. He managed to get away, but he left one of them alive, and the person he left alive called the boss and was like, he escaped. So now there's all this manhunt trying to, get to him, and we're about to see if he's going to escape. Episode 3 starts with, the chase that's continuing. So the beginning of episode 3 was still going on with the chase, right? But what ended up happening, he escaped from the chase, but he ended up dying by the hands of the girl who he originally rescued, right? Because all she cared about was the money that he stole from the boss, right? But even though she killed him, even though he told her where the money was before she killed him, he didn't exactly explain how to get it. He's the only one who knows how to get it. So he's like, oh, in his next life, he's going to go get the money. And I'm like, why would you go get the money? Why don't you go get the money like when you're almost done, right? Like it's guaranteed, right? So because he's the only one who knows where it's at. So the next life that he goes into is this 18-year-old boxer who his mom owed a lot of people. So there were like loan sharks coming to the house to get the money, and he needed money to, get out of the situation that he was in. So this person contacted him and was like, I need you to take the blame for this crash and we'll pay you money, right? So he's like, okay, But what ended up happening is, because he's 18, he was just supposed to get a slap on the wrist. But what ended up happening, the girl who got hit passed away. So he ended up going to juvie for 2 years. So this is now when he's 20 years old. And before he got out of prison, he was telling the lawyer that, or not the lawyer, but the guy who came to him and offered him the money on behalf of the person who actually drove the car. He was like, you need to pay me more now because you paid me for probation or slap on the wrist. I've been here for 2 years, so you need to pay me more. So he asked for 1 billion, and then the guy was like, that's only if you make it out of here alive. Now when he went into his body, there was 4 days left on his sentence. So the person one of the people in his cell, and that's why I was like, the guy who killed the previous, the kid who the guy who was bullying that kid, he was in the same cell as him. And he walked in acting like he's like a psycho killer, and since he came in the body now, he he exposed the truth to everyone. So now the bully is getting bullied in prison. Um and he even did it where he's like the ghost of the little boy that he killed is hunting him in jail. So he'll probably, commit something because he believes that he's being haunted by the ghost of the boy that he bashed his head in. So now, who's trying to kill him now? So he managed to get out of juvie, but that was after, a group of people tried to hurt him while he was in prison, right? Because the guy told him he was going to send people after him for asking money. So when he gets out, he goes to the guy's car and, he tells him he doesn't want any money. He's going to keep his mouth shut because in his mind, he's going to go pick up the money from the previous guy, right? The money that was hidden away from the cleaner guy, right? So, but behind that car was another car, and there was just somebody following him. So instead of like going to see his mom, which I mean, I guess that makes sense since his mom didn't even come greet him in the first place. So since the mom, so he went to go find the money. He found the money and he found diamonds in it. So his mom called him, and the reason he answered the phone call for his mom is because his other mom showed up. So he was feeling guilty, right? Um, so he put some money aside for his mom to bring to his mom. The mom of the body that he's currently in. And then he put some money aside in a locker. For the locker, they can only keep it for 4 days, and then after that, everything in there gets confiscated, right? And then I'm like, why would you even do that? He's like, he's thinking like if he does die in his next life, he's gonna go get the money. And I'm like, well, death is paying attention to everything you're doing. It's not like you're just doing this and she can't see anything, right? So as he's walking home, the father of the girl who died, stabbed him. And then, that's when he was like, oh, I didn't kill her. Da, da, da. So when he heard the noise, he ran. And then he saw his friend. And I'm like, where the hell did he come from? His, well, I, I'm going to say, quote, friend, right? He saw him and he came and was like acting all worried. And then he was like, good, because I wanted to be the one to kill you. Because the people paid him a lot of money to kill him, to keep his mouth shut. So that's how that person ended up dying. So when he goes back to death, um, you know, he was acting all smug and was like, hurry up and send me to the next person, right? Because he's trying to go get his money. So then he said, death goes and gives him a smirk and then sends him, and he wakes up as a baby. And I'm like, a baby? We're putting a baby in this game too? So that means how? Okay, first of all, this one doesn't even count, because how is he going to keep himself alive in this one? I think she just did that because, she didn't want him to go get the money. So she just put him in the body of a baby. But I'm like, how would he even stop himself? Huh? How? With episode 4, after, it after the baby, obviously the baby passed away because the parents were horrible parents. And then, she like threw the baby on the floor and put a pillow over the baby's head. And which is crazy to me. Like the father, the hospital called, well, not the hospital, but the pediatric center called the CPS. And the guy, the husband, the father of the child, works with children. And that's how they're able to get away with it. But this time, after the cops were called, she like threw the baby and put a pillow over his head. And I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, that was pointless. Like, that was not pointless, but like, why did it need to be one of his lives type of thing? Because there was nothing he could do. But then she also say, like, you had to learn that there's um you know there's certain things you can't control type of thing. um but then the next person he took over was this 24-year-old model, right? So once he turned into him, he like rushed to get the money. There was like 15 minutes left before the people came and emptied out the locker. So he got there just in time, took the money, but almost didn't need the money because the model has a lot of money, right? So with this model, I felt like he could have just, lived properly, but um as soon as he went to the model's house, the model's friend called him and was like, hey, aren't you coming to the after party that they threw for us? What I find interesting and what I'm liking is how they're connecting each person. As I was watching it, I was like, well, you know, this is happening after he killed himself, after he jumped off the building. So wouldn't it make sense for him to go look up what happened after his death? Or how his mother's doing, or how his ex-girlfriend is doing. So with the model, he went to the after party, and in walks the new CEO of the company that he was hiring for. And if you remember, the first person that he took over was the new CEO, right? But then that CEO died in the plane crash, right? With the engine. So he had a brother. The brother is the one that he actually interviewed with in his original life. The one that told him that he didn't make it to the company, right? So the brother, when they showed you the memory of the first person he took over, they showed you that um, that person and his brother would always be fighting and be competing against each other, and then he always won, and then he won all the way up to CEO. So I'm like, obviously the reason he's going to die is because the brother wants him dead, right? So while the model and his friend are out at this party, in walks the new CEO, which is the brother. And he's like, I know you from somewhere, but he couldn't quite place where he was from. So he gets drunk at this party, and then the next day his other friend comes to him and is like, remember, you promised me that you were going to help at the coffee shop. So he goes to help him, and in walks the girlfriend, Jisoo. Not his girlfriend, the girlfriend of the one who jumped off the building. So in she walks, and he's like mesmerized, that he gets to see her again. Then her she orders her favorite drink, and then she goes to sit down. The friend asks him, like, are you interested in her? He's like, does she come here every day? He's like, yeah, she comes in every day about this time and leaves at night. She's this writer, right? So with much digging, he went and looked up her name, saw which book she actually got published, and and she won prize money for that book. So he puts one and two together, that when he saw her with that guy, the guy was her brother. The flowers were given to her because she won the competition, and the money that she gave him was actually her prize money that she won. um so he's feeling bad about what he did and leaving her behind and stuff like that. So then he starts talking to her, and the way he started talking to her was telling her that he has a book, that he has an idea for a book, and the idea is to talk about exactly what he's experiencing with death and the other lives that he's gone through, right? So um I don't know how many days go by, but you know being with him, being around him, got her to remember her ex-boyfriend. So she goes to visit his where they put them after they die. So she goes to visit that, and he follows her, and he was able to hear everything that she said. So he went to go visit his own, and then that's when his mother came in. So he couldn't bear it when his mom was just crying so much, right? Because she just missed him so much. So what he did was he took the money that he had, and he wrote a note to his mom, making it like it's from someone else, and then he went to go drop the money off at his mom's house. And I'm like, why would you go in? I mean, like, I get it. If he left it outside, someone else could have taken it, but you went inside the house to, give the mom the money. I don't know, to leave the money in the house. She might come home and be like, oh, who did this, right? But then that was pretty much it. And towards the end of the episode, it was just this big shocker thing, right? So, what ended up happening is he wanted to tell her, he was, meeting up with her at the coffee shop again, Jisoo, and, telling her more about the story with death and all that other stuff. So when he told her to like wait, he's gonna walk home with her. So he stopped her and started telling her about like this ex-girlfriend that he had, and how he feels sorry, um, for everything and all that. And then he started revealing that the story that he was telling her about is about him, and his name. He revealed his actual name, and she's just like shocked, right? And I'm thinking like death is gonna come at any point, because I'm like, you're revealing too much. You're telling her way too much information, right? So then all of a sudden they just get hit by a car head on. And, unfortunately the girl didn't make it. I'm thinking like, because I only saw him, like when the car backed away, I only saw him staying on the car. So I'm thinking like it's death that came and, did something, because she was like, at any point where something's not right, I'm gonna come and stop it. Right? So I'm thinking it's death um that came, right? But no, when the person gets out, it's the brother, the new CEO of that company. And I'm like, what relevance does this have to do with anything, right? But apparently he was drunk driving and happened to hit them. But he is connected to all the other lives, that even his own, he's connected to all the other lives that what's his name, Jisoo, took, not Jisoo, that's the Yi Choi, like Mr. Choi, we'll call him Mr. Choi, took over, because he's the one who caused the accident. He's the one who was behind killing his own brother. He was the donor for the second guy who wanted to break the world record. He was part of that. The guy who was the cleaner, somehow he was involved in that. The girl who died and caused the boxer to go to jail, he was the one who hit her because he was drunk driving again. And then who else? I think that was pretty much it. He wasn't involved with the baby. Um but yeah, so this man was involved in each and every one of them, except for the boy that was in school as well. And then you find out that, the girl passed away from the accident. I'm like, what? I thought, at least he would get like some sort of a happy ending, if he beat the last life, and maybe he would get to live, near her. But death, I mean, she's dead. And that was pretty much how, episode 4 ended. And the guy, he was still breathing, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're still alive. Well, not for long." And then he like suffocated him, and that was the end of episode 4. I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy. First half of the show, and so far he's already done. I think he mentioned he did seven maybe. So, yeah, we will see what the second half of this show entails, because there's only 8 episodes.
And this wraps up our journey on The Review Garden. Thank you for joining me today as we explored this drama. If you enjoyed this reaction and review, please remember to subscribe for more insightful videos. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps our channel grow. As always, I'm truly grateful for your support and for joining me on this journey on The Review Garden. Until next time, and happy listening. Bye.